Here are 10 quick interpretations of Merrily We Roll Along by Stephen Sondheim and George Furth. Shalom, I'm David Benkof, the Broadway Maven. When Merrily We Roll Along premiered in 1981, it was a notorious flop, closed in just 16 performances. Audiences were baffled by the backward structure, the youthful cast playing bitter adults, and the unrelenting melancholy under the showbiz gloss. But over the decades, Merrily has become one of Stephen Sondheim's most beloved cult works, less a musical about friendship and ambition, and more a meditation on time, memory, and the strange, aching ways we try to make sense of our own past. In this video, we're counting down 10 tiny, brutal, beautiful moments that show how Merrily We Roll Along hits harder than any other musical that ends with a dream.
Will, somebody go get something. Get some iodine. You see, when you're young in the star, how the slightest thing can jar everybody's focus.
It's stopping. I'm just gonna let it air.
Early in Merrily We Roll Along, a character cuts her hand at a party and casually shrugs, "I'm just going to let it air." It sounds offhand, even practical, but it's exactly the wrong medical advice. Modern medicine calls for covering wounds to prevent infection. Letting it air may feel brave, but it risks making things worse. And that's the show in a nutshell, a trio of characters who suffer a wound, betrayal, disappointment, the collapse of friendship, and try to move forward without tending to it properly. They minimize it. They let it fester. And like that hand at the party, their pain never really heals. Because in Merrily, the damage isn't what breaks them, it's the refusal to treat it.
Charlie is a hothead. Charlie won't budge. Charlie is a friend. Charlie is a screamer. Charlie won't bend. Charlie's in your corner. Mary is a dreamer. Mary's a friend. Mary is a nudge. Mary is a purist. Charlie's a judge.
In Growing Up, Frank refers to Mary as an Nudge, a Yiddish word for someone who nags or pesters, usually out of concern or fussiness. In traditional Yiddish-influenced speech, it's pronounced with a rounded vowel, like the in look. But Sondheim rhymes it with budge and judge, flattening the vowel. Surely the Jewish American Sondheim, famously meticulous about language, knew the authentic pronunciation. And it's not like Merrily avoids Yiddish. Producer Joe Josephson tosses off Mishugana, Fikakta, and Mazel Tov, among other gems. Frank may not be Jewish, but he's a New York showbiz composer. He's heard the word. Still, he's not a lyricist, and he's not especially sensitive to subtext or culture. So when he uses a borrowed Yiddish word and gets it subtly wrong, it fits.
Here's something I like to do when I want to get to know somebody very well, very quick. It's a game. I tell you something honest about me, and you answer back right away with something honest about you. I call it trading hostages.
In Merrily We Roll Along, Gussie invites Frank to play a game called Trading Hostages. The rules are simple. You say something honest about yourself, and the other person must immediately respond with something honest about themselves. Representing the idea of radical truth with a metaphor of violent crime encapsulates Merrily's themes of ambition, dishonesty, and betrayal. In this world, even candor becomes a form of emotional bartering or even psychological warfare, loaded with risk, strategy, and the threat of emotional casualties.
Mrs. Shepard, I know this is inappropriate, but I wrote a film script, Darkness Before Dawn, that is so perfect for you.
It is inappropriate. Give it to me. I've accepted that if I don't want people handing me scripts, then I can never go out.
In Merrily We Roll Along, a young aspiring writer tries to hand a screenplay titled Darkness Before Dawn to Gussie, Frank's wife. It plays like a throwaway moment, but the title lands with uncanny precision. Merrily famously moves backward from jaded success to idealistic beginnings. And just as the phrase darkness before dawn usually promises hope after hardship, the musical delivers its dawn, a rooftop full of promise and friendship, only at the end. We don't begin in hope, we arrive at it. That's why Darkness Before Dawn doesn't just fit thematically, it could be the show's alternate title. It captures Merrily's entire arc in 3 words. A quiet flash of insight buried in an awkward moment, describing a story its writer doesn't even know he's in.
Mr. Shepard?
Frank.
Before I go, I just want to know, how do I get to be you?
The worst vice in the world is advice, so I don't give any. Hey. Don't just write what you know. Write what you know. Now get out of here.
In Merrily We Roll Along, an adoring fan asks Frank about his path to success, prompting him to reply with a self-satisfied motto, "The worst vice is advice." It's not just banter, it's a reminder of how Frank is lost without Charlie, the lyricist who once gave his music its soul. In fact, Charlie is the one who originally gave Frank the metaphor that became his advice to the fan. Now, Frank's trading insight for slogans, which shows us that without Charlie, Frank doesn't really have anything to say.
We're still old friends, nothing can kill. Old friends, where there's a will. Old friends, don't need success to survive.
The 3 friends in Merrily We Roll Along have a ritual. They link pinkies and sing, "Who's like us? Damn few." On the surface, it sounds like a boast, 3 brilliant artists celebrating their creative powers. But the song is called Old Friends, not Great Collaborators. They're not toasting their talent, they're affirming their bond. And the physical hand motion speaks volumes. As a pinky link, the trio excels at intimacy, not strength. You'd need to lock thumbs for strength. It's a fragile gesture for a fragile friendship, one built on affection more than foundation. They aren't saying, "Damn few can do what we do." They're saying, "Damn few know us like we know each other." And that's what makes it heartbreaking when the gesture and the friendship break down.
My old friend Tyler here is the man who invented the telephone answering machine, and people are living in fear I'll invent something else.
The invention of the answering machine gets name-dropped more than once in Merrily We Roll Along, a detail that might seem like comic period flavor, but it's doing deeper work. The answering machine is a symbol of distance, a voice speaking in your place, a relationship managed through recordings instead of a real connection. And that's Merrily in a nutshell. The show traces how ambition, performance, and self-protection slowly replace intimacy. What begins with joy and collaboration ends with silence and static, voices played back, but no one really listening.
Yesterday is done. See the pretty countryside.
Why does Merrily We Roll Along start with "See the Pretty Countryside," a pastoral image that couldn't feel less connected to the show's urban reality? Maybe because Sondheim is toying with us. The line sounds like it belongs in Oklahoma or The Music Man, not in a fractured memory play about broken friendships. It's an immediate signal that this musical will subvert everything: structure, genre, expectation. Even the second line is wrong, and that's how you know something is very, very right.
These are the friends of Frank.
Moving back to Paramount.
In the song That Frank from Merrily We Roll Along, Frank is said to be moving back to Paramount. The reference is to the movie studio, of course, but the word Paramount also means of primary importance, and that's what's happened to our initial friendly threesome. Frank has become paramount to everyone's great loss.
Don't you miss writing music?
That was the old Frank Shepherd.
The backward structure of Merrily We Roll Along turns nostalgia into tragedy, especially when we realize the main character is named Frank Shepherd. Frank implies honesty. Shepherd suggests judicious leadership. But when we first meet him at the end of his story, he's guarded, jaded, and alone. Only as the musical rewinds do we watch him reclaim the promise of his own name. Scene by scene, he becomes more open, more hopeful, more human. Merrily doesn't just show a man who lost his way. It shows us the man he was, the friend he tried to be, and the artist he might have become. Merrily We Roll Along isn't just about what's lost. It's about the moment just before things fall apart, repeated over and over in reverse. These details aren't just clever, they're clues, hints, warning signs. The musical ends in hope, but only if you've already seen everything that follows. It's a story where the beginning is beautiful. Beautiful, but sad, because we already know the ending is broken. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Shalom, I'm David Benkof, the Broadway Maven. The Broadway Maven is a vibrant educational community. Every month, members may attend 5 to 15 classes and other expert-led Broadway experiences, all for just $18. There's a membership link in the description. And here's a video I think you'll like.